people are just becoming unglued when it comes to politics as they perceive. What do you say to that, Joe? As people perceive they're being hurt by these politicians, or at the very least not represented.
Well,
or is this just? I mean, I hate to say, but in my opinion, it's just crazy people.
Mental health, yeah.
Yeah, but go, Joe. You rolled your eyes like 5 times at me already today. It's really,
I was
unnerving. There it goes again. Oh, this time it's with a smile. Yes,
that's dangerous.
Yes,
I just think that there just seems to be every day emanating out of Washington, some kind of story about craziness or just deep animus between the president and the Democrats, or the president and the Republicans, or the president and Europe, or the never any kind of despots or dictators or.
Are you linking in any way?
No, I just think it just kind of sets the tone and the mood for the country, and I think that I have to tell you, I think that people are becoming a bit unhinged just because there's just so much verbal and optical litter on our screens, and people don't really examine issues from all points and then form a conclusion. They have their conclusions fed to them, and there's not a lot of deep thinking going on.
Well, I think not just fed to them. I think and this is now
it's fed from all sides, though, Bill.
It is,
but I'm saying from all sides.
But we search out and seek out that feeding. We want a certain taste, and whether it is true. That is true.
I think many people do that. I think it's the wrong way to approach issues, but it's hard to get any straight information anymore.
Yeah.
And unfortunately when you're sitting there and you have someone testifying before Congress, and he was easily able to call the president a liar, and there wasn't anybody that could say, "Oh no, the president is constantly telling the truth."
Well, they came out. It's funny. They came out. It took them a day and a half to be able to respond, and then over the weekend they came out pretty strong in defense, in defense of the president.
Well, I understand, but the problem is that there's a tone that's been set in the first 150 days, and it's hard to overcome that. And then you have that show that took place with the cabinet meeting the other day, and it was
odd.
Unnerving. It was unnerving.
And I think you really have to know what happens at cabinet meetings, and go back through history, and
that
at least
does not happen.
Modern history. When the reporters get a chance to see what goes on in these cabinet meetings, this is not something proclaiming their loyalty and praise is not something that normally happens.
That does not happen at any level of government. Now, I've never been in the White House, in terms of being on, but I've been, I've worked for the state, I've worked for the county, I've worked for the city, and I've been in plenty of cabinet meetings, so to speak. That was just bizarre, and then I don't understand. I think there's a whole psychology going on. And it's just, just get the work done. Let's stop talking about all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Do what you're supposed to do.
Were you surprised that yesterday? So the Sessions testimony is going on yesterday, and while that is going on, the president came out. This is what is just. You never know what you're going to hear. It came out.
The House's health care bill was downright
mean.
Meanwhile, they're popping beers on the front lawn at the White House, and it's like. What's going on here? See, I think he actually saw a poll that said, his people
or spoke to somebody who said this is
someone who said this was a bad.
I'm going to be hurt. These people are going to be hurt. This is bad.
This is bad. And then he came out and he said something.
So he's completely changed his opinion because it was the day before they were touting the fact that the House had passed that bill.
But again, I just think it's optical and verbal litter. I mean, just again, here's Sessions. He's testifying before Congress, saying whatever it is he's going to say. And, again, at this point, who cares? And then you have, I mean, this is the same guy now that wants to go after the medical marijuana, distributors. And he's taken this position that, he wants to put all, anybody that's involved with any kind of drugs in jail, or in prison, in absolute opposite of all of the studies and everything else that have been
the changes that have been made over the last years, several years.
But it's based on. I mean, the fact is that like for example, they implemented a Vivitrol program at OCJ. And what that's supposed to do is that when you're getting released from jail after serving, some kind of petty sentence, but it could be 6 months up to a year or whatever it is, or anything less, you can get in this Vivitrol program, and it will, basically kill the cravings for, opiates.
Yeah.
Okay. Because a lot of the crime that we see in our area is drug driven.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, they're trying to figure out a way to stop the crime by addressing the drug issue, and instead you want to put people in prison, which doesn't cut the ties. So it's sad, and I have to say that some people get sad, some people get angry, some people go nuts, some people just tune it out and say, I'm going to go about my daily business. And I have to tell you, again, we're going to be making an announcement about our candidates, but we have some like questions that each one of our candidates had to answer. They were very well thought out, and we expect that those are going to be the issues that are going to be addressed in
the opioid issue and stuff like that.
Well, a number of issues. in Utica, but again, it's not national politics, but all politics is supposed to be local. So
listen, this is the Republican Party. You are the head of the Utica Republican Party, and this is the party that's imposing this some of these things you're complaining about.
I understand, Bill. I mean, again, it's one of these things where the people spoke. Well, at least 40-something% of them did, and the president's elected, and now we're dealing with his lack of experience in terms of running a democracy or in any kind of governmental entity. So it's going to take a while before he gets his sea legs, so to speak, and unfortunately, it doesn't help things when the staff and some of the other elected officials are saying, look, he doesn't know what he's doing yet.
Right.
So you got to cut him a break.
The novice argument. Senator Joe Griffo standing by on the line right now. Senator, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Bill. How are you?
Good. I don't know if you've seen the news, but there was a shooting in Washington. A Congressman, Representative Steve Scalise of Louisiana, he is the majority whip, was shot. We're not sure of the severity of the injury, but along with three other congressional Capitol police officers were shot as well. It's scary out there right now, Joe.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. I actually had a chance to meet Representative Scalise, and actually was in his office when I was visiting a couple of my friends who are in Congress last year, and he is a great guy, and this is just so unfortunate and really a despicable act, and I'm hopeful as we learn more that we'll figure out what happened and how it happened. But I think it talks to some of the depravity that exists right now in society, and it's unfortunate, and that's something that really we need to focus on. We always talk about guns, but this really goes to the state of one's mental health and some of the animus that also exists today in society, which is so unfortunate.
Well, you had the Gabby Gifford that shooting, and that was just this crazed. Again, back to mental health. That was just some crazy kid that decided he was going to target her and go out and shoot. It'll be interesting to see. This was a baseball practice, a practice for a charity baseball game that was going to be happening. And they now have the guy in custody. It'll be interesting to see what inspired him.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at this initially, and obviously law enforcement that was there responded very quickly. It appears that Everyone conducted themselves in a manner that was helpful, and members were helping other members. It appears that I would, right now, without knowing any information, it would appear to me that this individual knew where he was going and what he was about to do.
Yeah, 7:30 in the morning at a baseball field out of the way. It's not like it was right out in the middle of the open.
Right. So
can I ask you a question?
This charity game was coming up, and this is where they were practicing. So it'll be interesting as the information comes out. But regardless of that, this just is a very sad reflection of the times and a really unfortunate circumstance and situation. And as I said, having met Representative Scalise before, he's really a great guy too. Now, regardless of his political party or philosophy, as an individual, having gotten to meet him and talk to him, he's just was a stand-up guy and a good guy.
Joe, I wanted to ask you.
Joe, this is Joe Habaika in studio.
How are you?
Hey, Chairman, how are you?
Oh, I'm well. In light of the times, does the Senate kind of run drills for the senators and the staffers at this point in dealing with these types of threats, or I guess these exigent circumstances? Is there any preparedness that they now have to do for you?
It's another sad commentary, really, Joe, when you talk about our society today. And, Bill, you can understand this because Allie is a teacher, as my wife is. Mm-hmm. We would talk about, during our times, fire drills and air raid drills, and now they have to shelter in place, in our schools, to think that it's an important thing that they're running through drills, but to think the type of drill that they have to run through is a reflection of our times and what takes place in society today is atrocious, in my opinion. That such a fear has to exist, but yet you need to prepare. Yes, Joe, we do have security forces. We don't have any specific drill, but we occasionally meet with security. The state police have responsibility, and they have a special unit that deals with the government, the elected officials, things of that nature. We also have security here in the Capitol beyond the state police in each house, both the Assembly and the Senate. But when people, no matter what you do to try to prevent something like this, in my opinion, if somebody really wants to and is intended in some method or manner to try to undertake something like this, it could be a potential problem, regardless of how you prepare.
Yeah. It's a scary thing to think about, what we're dealing with today. And, it was a couple of years ago, they had the reporters that were along the side of the highway, and Correct. Somebody decides they're gonna get back at somebody and start shooting. It is a mental health issue, it seems, and it's certainly pretty scary. Yesterday, you had a positive in Albany. It was a brewery, craft brew, New York Brew Day yesterday, but it included some food from here.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a great day. Unfortunately, I never even got to attend because we were in session till late last night. We had over 200 bills under consideration yesterday in the Senate. But the industry was here yesterday highlighting their economic impact and their legislative agenda, even in the last 2 weeks of session here. But they, if you look at their impact bill, they have a $4.5 billion impact. Economic impact here. They pay over $810 million in state and local taxes. They contribute to almost $500,000 into tourism. There's about 12,500 jobs associated with the breweries, over 326 in the state. So it's just an impressive industry, and it's growing so quickly. And I have been sponsoring this event for the last couple of years, working with the brewers. And bringing them here, it's always a big event. Unfortunately, a lot of the members didn't go or have the opportunity to go. And this year we put a little something extra on it, invited Charle D'Gristina to come down to showcase everything Utica. And Charlie did an extraordinary job from everything that I heard. I didn't get to see Charlie, unfortunately, but people were really impressed with it. It's a Utica thing. Charlie had tomato pie, riggies, chicken riggies, and greens here to give people a sample of the great food that we have in Utica. And from everything I hear, it went over extremely well, and everyone involved, as well as the attendees, were very pleased.
All right. That truck he brings up, it's a Utica thing. It's like a restaurant on wheels. It's certainly pretty awesome.
That's pretty impressive. Yeah. And as I said, it was great to have people have that association, and hopefully they'll continue to come and visit our community.
All right, Joe, good stuff. Thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it. Interesting that you, by the way, a representative, congressman, Representative Scalise from Louisiana, was shot. We don't believe it was a fatal wound at this point, although we really don't know. The man, we're told, is in custody. And, Joe, it's a congressman that you actually know and have met before, and actually know.
Yeah, I actually did meet him. We were in his office, actually, a couple of years ago in the Capitol. He has a very nice office and in the Capitol itself. And like I said, he was just a very personable individual. I thought he had a lot going for him, and obviously he attained the position of Majority Whip in the Congress, so his colleagues obviously respect him also. So unfortunate. We'll keep him in our prayers, and I'm hopeful that we'll get to the bottom of this, and we need to truly continue to address this, and appreciate your focus on this too, because this is just such an unacceptable behavior in our society, and we need to stand as a society to say this type of violence is just unacceptable.
All right, Joe. Senator Joe Griffo, thanks for the time. I appreciate it.
Take care.
All right.